Spaghetti and meatballs are a dinnertime classic, and just fine the way it is. But when you put so much work and effort into turning your homegrown tomatoes into sauce for these cold, snowy winter months, you want every dish to feel special. To make the meatballs, I took 1 pound of ground beef, an egg, half a cup of almond flour, and some garlic and onion seasoning, and mixed them until incorporated. Almond flour adds extra protein compared to the traditional use of breadcrumbs. These meatballs are stuffed with mozzarella cheese, making them feel extra special, and I've never been one to turn down extra cheese. I take about 1 tablespoon of the ground beef mixture and flatten it in my hand. Then I place one of the little mini bocconcinis in the center. I grab another tablespoon of the ground beef and I put it on top of the bocconcini. Then I roll everything together to form the meatballs. These meatballs are larger and more filling than traditional meatballs, so plan to serve fewer meatballs per plate. When I make more involved dishes, I make double what my family needs for one meal and freeze the extra portion for future meals. That way, I can still give my family and myself a satisfying meal even when I have a day when the last thing I want to do is make another meal. Making homemade pasta has become my go-to because I find it much more filling and satisfying than the dried pasta you get at the store. Add 2 cups of all-purpose flour, a pinch of salt, 3 eggs, and about a tablespoon of olive oil to the mixing bowl. I ended up needing to add a couple of egg yolks as well, since the dough seemed to be a little dry. Has anyone else noticed that it's been taking more eggs than usual to make pasta? I never used to have a problem with my dough coming together with 3 eggs, but the last couple of times I've made pasta, I've needed to add more eggs. I let the mixer do most of the kneading work for me. I remove the dough and give it a few kneads by hand to make sure the dough feels good. Then I cover it in plastic wrap and let the dough rest in the fridge for about an hour or so. I cut the dough into 4 sections. I have a pasta roller and cutter that I attach to my mixer. I like to roll the dough out on the counter with a rolling pin before feeding it into the pasta roller. I also sprinkle flour on both sides of the dough beforehand to prevent it from sticking. I run the dough through the pasta roller a few times, decreasing the thickness. My roller starts at an 8, and I go down to a 6 in this step. To get a nice rectangle, I cut the pasta sheets in half and fold the outside edges into the center. Feeding the folded pasta sheets back into the pasta roller, starting again at an 8, then decreasing the thickness every pass until I reach my thinnest setting, which is a 1. Flour the top side of each of the finished pasta sheets and place them on top of each other while I continue to roll out the rest of the pasta dough. To cook the meatballs, I place them in a baking dish in a single layer and top them with my homemade roasted tomato sauce, which I made with the tomatoes from my garden. The effort I put into making this sauce is the whole reason for elevating spaghetti and meatballs. Then pop it into a 350-degree oven for 30 minutes. Meanwhile, I boiled a large pot of water and ran the pasta sheets through the pasta cutter at the 2mm setting. I placed half the pasta and the meatballs on a cookie sheet to freeze. Cook the pasta in the boiling water. Fresh pasta cooks quickly, 2 or 3 minutes. The meatballs are done and some of the cheese melted into the sauce, making it resemble a rosé. Place the cooked pasta in a bowl. Add the meatballs on top and dress it all with the roasted tomato sauce. Check out how I turned frozen garden mashed potatoes into gnocchi here.